What's up, Desktopers? Xavier Wills here for Desktop Bodybuilding, and we are back with another video, and today we're discussing Chris Bumstead, your 2019 and 2020 Classic Physique Mr. Olympia. We're going to be looking at his transformation through the years at the Classic Physique Olympia from 2017 to 2020. So I'm going to give you guys what he actually improved on and how his physique changed through those years. Also, I'm going to discuss how would Chris do in the open division. Could he actually get to the Mr. Olympia in the open class, and how would he actually do? I'll discuss that plus much more. So let's get straight into it. So Chris Bumstead back in 2017 in his first Classic Physique Olympia, which was actually the second Classic Physique Olympia held of all time. Now, this was the battle between Breon Ansley and Chris Bumstead, where it actually all started. There's been 4 years of it, so it's really built into a big rivalry, especially the past year with Breon Ansley losing his title, trying to regain it back in 2020. So 2017 was an interesting one because some people had Bumstead, some people had Breon. I'd probably say more people actually had Bumstead winning because they just liked the structure more. That's pretty much what it came down to this year at 2020 as well. But basically, Breon was more complete then, and that's what Breon's been saying for the past year as well. But he definitely was. He did have the back, which Chris didn't have so much then. He did have the biceps, which Chris obviously did lack. So I think it was a fair enough comment, especially back then. This year, maybe not so much after the 2020 Olympia. But you can see, obviously, he's an incomplete bodybuilder, but he came in pretty damn good conditioning. He was very, very young at the time, maybe 24 or so, 23. So he was still very, very young and had, his physique had maturing to do. But when we look at the 3 pose comparison here between the next 3 years, so we've got 2018, 2019, and 2020. And as you can see, 2018, I feel like he came in slightly off. And it made it sort of an easier Olympia for Breon Ansley. And when we saw that the second year, everyone was like, yeah, Breon should have won. It's sort of understandable. You can see the conditioning wasn't quite the best in the 2018 version, and you can just see through the midsection he's a bit watery here on the left, and the biceps are a bit blurry, and the front double bicep, while the structure is great, it just didn't look the best that year. Then you fast forward to 2019, when many people started to realize that Chris Bumstead was going to bring it. So he brought the conditioning in 2019. He had the mo. He looked pretty damn good. You can see there. He just definitely hardened the whole physique up without really growing much. But the biceps tended to have a bit more separation and looked much harder last year. And then you fast forward to 2020, and it's a totally different beast here. You can just see the total difference in that physique. It's just much more hardened, but it's much bigger. Now, as far as I understand, Chris Bumstead has been trying to get taller. So what do I mean by that? I think he was using an inversion table through his prep. I remember seeing a video where he's actually using it or talking about using it. And these things work. I've got an inversion table I'll use myself, and it definitely decompresses your spine. So if you're going to get taller any certain way, that's definitely probably the way to do it. So he's able to grow, I don't know if it's a centimeter or an inch, but apparently he's got 10 more pounds to play with. I don't know if that's true, but that's what I've been told by a couple of people. So whether he used up those 10 pounds this year or not, I don't know, but he did weigh in fully clothed, so that tells me he's still got room to move. So I don't know how much room he's got to move now, but if he has another 10 pounds on top of his physique, Chris can win this for a long time. I don't know how old Chris is right now. I think it's about 27 years of age. I'll pop it up on the screen anyway, and I'll check after recording this. But man, if he's just say he's 26 or 27 or something like that, who says he can't win it till he's 40? Breon Ansley's 41 right now. If Chris can stay in it, he could be the most winning Mr. Olympia of all time. Similar to Shanique Grant, who unfortunately lost in 2020, but she's that young that she could go and win, some record tying or record breaking rather, Olympia titles. Obviously it's not in the open men's bodybuilding, but still to be the best in the world at one thing for that long would be absolutely incredible. But let's move on to the front lat spread and look at the comparison here. As you can see, it's sort of much the same, just looked more balanced from 2018 to 2019. I think his physique, just with that extra hardness, just looked a lot better. For some reason in 2018, he just didn't seem to flow as well. But then we fast forward to this year, 2020, he's just, kept those same lines, that same shape. And as you can see, the back is a lot bigger. Even from the front, it's filling that physique out a lot more than 2019. So very, very impressive. But every body part is basically better. The shoulders are probably bigger. The arms are definitely bigger. The lats are definitely bigger. Just everything looks thicker and bigger, and he's just an improved version of himself. And then we go to the side chest, and this is where you can really see the conditioning come through. So you can see here on the left, and obviously the side leg as well, you can see the difference. Now the posing trunks, as you can see back in 2018, they were different. The longer version, I much prefer the newer version as well, because you can sort of see a bit more, and I know it just looks like they're wearing boxes in that first one, but you can see there, he has a conditioning through the chest, which, looks quite good. He's not out of condition totally, but then you see 2019, much harder, a little bit more hamstring hang and a little bit more glute as well. And then this year, 2020, he's got the hardness. He's just got a much more granite physique. And it's only going to get harder. I can't see him going backwards, or, even if he did go backwards for 1 year, I can't imagine it being so far backwards that he'll actually lose that title in the next couple of years at least. Then we go on to the back double bicep, and this is where we see the most difference. Now, with all these photos as well, just so you guys know, I've lined these up and put them next to each other. Now, there's some where he's bending slightly different and things like that, but I've lined up the faces, tried to get the heads and the faces the same size and put them over each other. Obviously, the hair is different in some of them as well, but I've tried to do it as best I possibly can. But you can see here, 2018 to 2019, there's really not much in terms of improvements except hardness in the back. Maybe this 2018 version's zoomed in a little bit more. The hamstrings are harder. Obviously, the glutes look harder, but you can't see the glutes fully in 2018. But overall, much, much better. Now, you might say 2020 is a bigger version of this photo, and it might be slightly zoomed in. But if you look at where the heads are, where the heels are, also, I've tried to line up the hips. The elbows are slightly wider, but I think that maybe he's got some work done to actually open up his back, because when you put them over each other, as you can see, they're fading in between each other now. They sort of look the same size, these photos. It doesn't look like I've zoomed that in particularly more than any other one. So he's just much bigger from the back in every aspect. You can see the quads poking out from the side a lot more. The hamstrings are just much more developed. Everything is bigger. So I don't know how much mass Chris actually added to his physique from 2019 to 2020, but it was a lot. I'd love to know the poundages just because it looks so impressive. Now, something I wanted to discuss. Could Chris Bumstead move to the open class and have a successful bodybuilding career? I think he absolutely could. Seeing the gains he's made in 1 year, and from all reports, I did a video ages ago about Chris Bumstead's cycle, and his brother-in-law Ian Valliere spoke a little bit about what he does or what he doesn't do, for that matter. And he's a very mild user by the sounds of it, and it really sounds like he's not lying to me. And I don't think Ian Valliere would lie about that. So it sort of tells me that if Chris decided to go to another level, he absolutely could. Maybe decide to go to another level and sort of amp things up a little bit, because if you've got weight to actually fill in that division, then sort of why not? But the reason why he may not actually go to the open bodybuilding, and I don't think he will, he said he won't, is because of obviously his health condition. He's got an autoimmune disease which can flare up, and thankfully it hasn't flared up this year or last year. So I think Chris Bumstead could absolutely do it, and I think that he could actually do really well in an Olympia, because he looks like he's got the structure to hold a lot of muscle. It seems like he's got the genetics to put on a lot of muscle, so I would absolutely love to see it. But honestly, if his health is in at all jeopardy by doing that, I wouldn't want him to do it. And why not just come into the Classic Physique Olympia and win it for the next 10 to 15 years? Because honestly, he has the genetics to do something like that unless someone else spectacular comes along. So the reason this actually came up is because I saw this posing video. Now he's posing down with Big Ramy, obviously doing a photo shoot, which, he goes to hit that most muscular face of him, and he's just like, oh my God, I'm doing this next to Big Ramy, the biggest dude on the planet. And he's obviously from Classic Physique, but honestly, he stands up pretty good. And that's why I sort of see it and go, okay, some more slabs of muscle on Chris Bumstead with a tiny, tiny waist. Yeah, he won't have the same look as Big Ramy. He's not going to be as big as Big Ramy, but he could be big and hold it in a different way. More like I suppose, a Brandon Curry, who's definitely not as big as Big Ramy, still enormous, obviously. But, if he could be maybe like Regan Grimes, but maybe a bit bigger and add more mass than that eventually. So who knows what Chris Bumstead will actually do. Maybe he'll get bored with Classic Physique and his health's in good order, and maybe he'll decide to do that. Who knows? But would you guys like to see it? Would you like to see Chris Bumstead in open bodybuilding one day? I don't think it will happen. I mean, I love seeing him in the Classic Physique anyway, because he's just a physique that I suppose many can aspire to, especially the taller bodybuilders as well, because I think he's about 6'1" or 6 foot from what I've seen in the past. So guys, let me know what you think in the comments about Chris Bumstead and his transformation from 2017 to 2020, and would you like to see him in open bodybuilding? And guys, if you like and appreciate this content, give me a thumbs up and smash that like button. Also subscribe and hit the notification bell button. That way you'll be notified of every video that goes up for myself, Xavier Wills at Desktop Bodybuilding. So that's it for me. For Xavier Wills, Desktop Bodybuilding, we are out.